Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight we're going to start talking about Taurus ascendant with Venus in the different houses. Tonight we'll start with Venus in Aries. It's an unusual combination for two reasons. Because you see, Venus has places, has signs that it works good in, and it's signs that are difficult for it to express itself through. The rule is that every planet expresses itself through the sign it's in. Right? So a Venus in Aries person will be different than a Venus in Taurus person or a Venus in Gemini, because each one will express their Venusian nature according to the sign that they're found in. And here we're talking about Venus as being the ruling planet, so it has a tremendous influence on the chart. So when you have Venus in Aries, it's sort of in conflict. The sign is in conflict with the planet. Because the planet by nature is Venusian. Venusians want love, peace, harmony, comfort, especially right? They want comfort, they want pleasure, they want to have friends, to be part of things. And Aries, and an Aries sign is maybe the most what's the word I want to say? An Aries, the sign of Aries is the most Martian of all signs. It's the sign of the fighter, the sign of the person who only cares about himself, and the person, the perpetual motion machine. He can't stand still. He's always wanting to push ahead. He doesn't know how to stop, and it's very, very different nature, the Aries from the Venus. It's like making Venus wants peace, and Aries is a sign of war. So you want to make peace by having war. To fight to make peace. That's in Israel. They have all these, army generals who eventually go into politics, and a lot of them, especially in the older days, they were super leftists. They came from the kibbutzim that was really built on the communist model, and so they're there. When they get into politics, they become very leftist, and when they write books like battling for peace, fighting for peace, struggling for peace, all these, contradictory, they write it, it's as if it's a contradiction in terms, right? They make names like that for their books, because they're doing one thing, they're trying for peace, but they're also they're going to fight for peace. Just like they fought in war, they're going to fight to make peace. That's, I think, what they're saying by the names of their books. Right? Even though you're fighting for war, fighting in war is more normal, right? Fighting for peace is somehow a contradiction in terms. That's why they call the names of the books by that. And so you see that when you have Venus in Aries, it's going to be a test of expressing that Venusian energy, because it's going to come out in some kind of an aggressive way, right? There's certain people, let's say, I think we talked about this before, that the men who have it, they tend to be very aggressive towards women. They tend to be like women chasers, and they don't really like women, especially a whole lot, right? Because they tend to be. You see a lot of men that have this, that they beat their wives and things like that. The Venus in Aries, right? They show their love by hitting them and things like that. And you also have women of Venus in Aries. They tend to be very. They're always testing their limits. They're always testing to see how attractive they are and how likable they are. They can be very flirty and very sort of aggressive with men. They can be They test their limits in, what they can wear, what they can get away with wearing, how little they can wear, and things like that. And that's the Venus in Aries. And again, I'm talking about the downside of it, right? There's always, you can always use these things also in a positive way, these planets. But unfortunately, the civilization today, you don't see so much of the positive way to use these planets. I'm talking about the more difficult manifestations, but the more common ones. And so I said there's two sides to it. The second side is that when Venus is in Aries, it's falling in the 12th house, if Taurus is the ascendant. So from two sides, it's difficult. From the side that it's in a planet that's Venus is in a sign that's antithetical of it, and also Venus comes out in the 12th house. So whenever you have the ruling planet in the 12th house, it's going to take away from the worldliness of the chart. Right? On the one hand, it's going to get a person. The 12th house is the house of the secrets, of the enemies, secret enemies, of illnesses, of hiding away, of imprisonment, all sorts of things like that. The 12th house, secret enemies. So when a person has the ruling planet in the 12th house, it's sort of going to pull them again, take away from their it's going to lead them more to a world, more of a lot of times to a more spiritual approach to life. Which is difficult because Venus in Aries, again, we have a planet in detriment. Detriment doesn't mean it's not going to be good. Detriment doesn't mean that your life is going to be miserable. On the other, what detriment means is that it tends to be a more worldly type of chart. When you have the ruling planet in detriment, you use it in a much more physical way, in a lessly spiritual way. But when you have the planet in the 12th house, it also wants to work in a spiritual way. So there's going to be sort of a contradiction, again, from that side, that the person doesn't know. On one hand, there's going to be this interest in the spiritual or in helping others, right? A lot of people have the ruler in the 12th. They can be doctors, surgeons, I mean, I've seen a lot of good charts of a Taurus with Venus in the 12th. I remember I had a skin doctor that I knew, a friend of mine, and he had something like that, Taurus with Venus in the 12th and Aries. And you get a lot of the doctors that have that, nurses, right? People who help others, the unfortunate. Again, remember, everything can be used good in a bad way. On the one hand, you can have Venus in the 12th. I mean, I've seen prostitutes charts that had a lot of them that had Venus in Aries in the 12th. But I've also seen a lot of charts of doctors and nurses that have it, that try to, people social workers that try to help prostitutes. They could also have Venus in Aries in the 12th. So you see, it depends on all different types of combinations, what's also connected with the Venus. So you always have to consider the other planets that are connected to Venus and the aspects. Especially you have to look at Mars. Right? If Mars is in good condition, then Venus can get out of prison. It can get out of the 12th house. Say you have Mars and Leo in the 4th house, so that's going to help the Venus will give itself over to that good Mars in the 4th house in Leo. And the person can thrive. It's right. It's enshrined, the Mars into Venus, and the person, as they get older, they'll get more. They'll be able to come out of the 12th house. So anyway, I don't have any good examples of horoscopes offhand with Venus and. With Venus in Aries, Taurus rising, but I think from this class you get a good idea of the basics of of that combination. I thank everybody for listening.